Hey guys, Cyndi Williams here, the Wanderlust CEO. I have the amazing Tammi from Travel World today. Tammi, how are you?
Excellent. Thanks for asking. How are you doing today?
I am so good. So, you guys, I wanted to really just invite Tammi on the show today to talk about her recent successes. And Tammi, you are a participant in our Wanderlust CEO mastermind. So,
Yeah,
congratulations. I know it's
man.
almost
Thank
graduation
you.
time for you. Can you believe it?
It's been an amazing trip.
Oh
It's
my
been an
gosh.
amazing trip.
So, first of all, share that cute coffee mug. I mean, come on, you guys. So that was one of the
Get it
Christmas
up a little
gifts I
closer.
sent.
You can't even. Look, there
Yes,
we go.
it's
There
so
you go. Now you can
cute.
see it.
I love it. Yeah, it says Wanderlust CEO on it. That's one of the Christmas gifts that I sent out to everyone in the program. And I was telling Tammi, those are like my favorite mugs. But Tammi, tell me a little bit about why you wanted to embark on the Wanderlust CEO Mastermind. It's my 12-month-long program that helps travel professionals scale top performing teams. Talk to us about that beginning part of the journey for you.
Well, first of all, I was scared to death. um,
That's normal when you're an entrepreneur, right?
right? But my friends call me a jumper. So that means like I jump in and then I figure things out later. And when you first announced the Wonderlust CEO, I had just recently been had my future freed up by my long-term employer, 14 years, and I had decided that I was going to make travel my business. And in talking to you, one of the things that I was already missing for my full-time job was being a leader and coaching and teaching people how to be their best selves within the organization that I was in before. So the Wonderlust CEO program was going to give me the opportunity to learn a different set of coaching skills that I would then be able to take the thing that I loved most about the job that I didn't have anymore and then apply it to a growing business. I didn't realize though back in January how much it was actually going to change not just my business, but my perception of my business by other people.
Mm. Yeah, to set the scene for everyone, the initial Wanderlust CEO program started in March of 2020. So as
Yes,
the
it
world
did.
was falling apart and Tammi had her future freed up, she doubled down on her dream, which kudos friend, like right, like you're not to be messed with when it comes with the ambition. And I always talk about having the relentless pursuit of your dreams. Like you are a beautiful example of leaning in even when you're scared, even when all that stuff is going on. So
Well, I owe a lot of that to the coaching that I got from you because when COVID first came along, I was like, I'm gonna wait to recruit people to my team until this all figures out. And you were like, why? Why would you wait? And I was like, well, I don't know that anybody's gonna be interested. And they're like, you were like, you're interested. Why would you think there's nobody else out there that would be interested? And so because of just that one conversation, I was like, no, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just looking for other people like me who
yeah,
understand that there is something amazing that's gonna happen once we get past this. So
I love that.
and it's
And
starting to happen now.
it totally is. And that's like, if you go back to that time, a lot of people were in that mindset. A lot of travel entrepreneurs like, well, I'm going to wait it out. I'm not going to do this anymore until blah, blah, blah. And I feel like that's entrepreneurs who really move far fast look for the opportunities in every situation. And so I'm not going to, I'm going to let you share the scoop on how big your team has grown. But when you double down and whenever you have time, like money is not our most important asset, right? It's time. So like, what are you going to do with that time? But share with everybody, if you would, um, what has been your biggest win or celebration, or wins, I should say, in your case, wins or celebrations since starting the program?
Oh my gosh, I have so many. So first, I had grown my team to 9. I had 9 independent contractors. That team has gotten a little bit smaller now. One, because I've either chosen that they weren't the right fit or they decided that it wasn't the right fit for them.
Yep.
So we did have some attrition, but that's to be expected. And that's one of the great things that the CEO program helped to walk us through that, like from the emotional perspective, because you want to think that you're going to pick home runs every single time. And then when you don't, you get a sense of defeat. But being a part of the CEO program, that's something that we talk about. Like, you want to hire more people than what you actually want to end up with, because you're going to have fallout, and it's okay to have fallout. It, as long as you learn from it and be like, okay, this is what I missed when I did that interview. This was a, a signal that I should have been like, maybe that person isn't the right hire for me. They may be the right hire for someone else, but they're not the right hire for me. So that was one big thing. Being part of the CEO program um, helped me, one, with my recruiting process and getting everything together so that I was ready when I started doing my interviews. Having someone to give feedback on, hey, look, this is what happened during the interview. What do you think? That was amazing. So I wasn't stuck in my own head all the time. One of the other things that I mentioned earlier was that other people have a different view of my business now. So I belong to a networking group. And for the longest time, I just presented myself as Tammi Grant, Travel World travel agent.
Yeah.
Now I present myself as Tammi Grant, agency owner, founder, CEO, and I have now have people inviting me to do podcasts to talk about travel and how it's going to be different, and how I'm doing one. It's called, what's the next podcast? Coaching the Climb, and that's talking about pivoting, and we're going to talk about pivoting in the travel industry and how I was able to pivot and continue to grow my business. If I was still presenting myself in the way that I did before CE, they'd just be looking at me as someone to book their family travel 2 years from now. So that happened, and I'm also got invited to participate in some shows, not where I was looking for them. They came to me and they said, "Hey, I think they're doing a thing, and it's called Self-ish in parentheses Philly." And it's going to be a seminar in October for 150 women. And they asked me if I would be willing to come and participate in their event, as opposed to the other way around, where I'd be like looking like, where can I find a table? Where can I find a table? And I owe that to just the different way that you present yourself when you're part of the program.
Literally module 1, right? Salesperson to CEO. Because I feel like that's like the biggest thing at the beginning people struggle with, is how do I get out of the day-to-day, because I'm my number one salesperson, and get into this role of being the true CEO of my company, where you're out there doing that big stuff. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it was just, honestly, it was tweaking a couple of words.
Really?
But I wouldn't have done that if I wasn't part of the CEO program.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And I think, and just to kind of frame it for everyone, Tammi had never owned an agency before. So,
I was brand new selling travel, really,
Right, exactly. And it's like, when you're new to the industry, things can be taught, but there's nothing out there that's going to teach you like the inner workings of like what took me 20 years to build, right? So I think how did Wanderlust CEO kind of help you structure at the beginning? I know we break our program into things like, how do you hire? How do you recruit? How do you onboard? How do you manage performance? How do you train? And when you're building it, I think from a DIY perspective, you're like, I'll figure it out as I go. And then it ends up being kind of crazy. But what was the process like for you, having not done it before and stepping in where you're kind of spoon-fed or road-mapped or way-showed? I like to call myself a way-shower in terms of that piece. What was that experience like? Because it's still a lot, even if we hand it to you, right?
It is. And fortunately, I had built teams before. I just hadn't built them in the same way. So I wasn't somebody gave me leads of people that they said, hey, I think this person would. They did the pre-screening and the weeding out and all that kind of stuff. So by the time a candidate got to me, they were pretty good, right? So as long as personality matched, we were good.
Yeah.
So besides that, just helping to figure out like what fees I should charge for. Not that you didn't tell me you should charge X number of dollars, right? You left that up to me, but you're like, these are the things that you need to think about that I probably wouldn't have thought about, even as an entrepreneur. I might have been like, oh, that's something that I can pay for myself, or I should pay for myself. So really, I mean, one of the things that I learned that I probably wouldn't have done was the fee that I was charging to bring ICs on. So That actually, and my accountant was so proud when we started talking about taxes for 2020, for 2020, because he's like, wow, you actually had income this year. And I was like, yeah, I did. And that's because through the CEO program, I learned the value of what it was I was offering. Like, I'm not just offering them an avenue, I'm offering them a pre built business where they're getting the travel world name that they can use that I've built and developed. So there's like intangible things that I wasn't going to charge for. Like, I was like, all right, well, I'll do $10 for text and $8 for email. And there's so many intangible things
Yep.
that they're actually getting access to when they join the Travel World team. And so through conversations with you and the rest of the coaches that are available, I really learned that there's some value that I wasn't seeing, and I was going to short sell myself. And in fact, I actually had somebody yesterday be like, you probably could get even more. I was like, okay, I mean, I'll be
yeah, because you bring so much value, and I think that brings up a big point, because I of course I've helped launch hundreds of travel brands in my career and trained thousands of travel agents. But in 2020, the people that had employees on staff literally went out of business overnight because the commissions stopped coming in. They couldn't make payroll. So, going and how we structure today in this IC environment, one, knowing how to do that in a way that's efficient and also supports your staff, but also staying cash flow positive in your business is what allows you to market and drive leads and do other things, and like have it so it's not so stressful every day, right? Like, no one wants to see their credit card bill going up and up every month because you're paying everybody's little tiny fees. Like, you have to figure out how to
and because of that, I was able to actually keep going and growing. So, my agents have started making sales in the last couple of weeks, and and they're excited, right? So they're small sales, they're small trips, but because we continue to move forward with the advertising and all that kind of stuff, and the being active in social media and not hiding behind not knowing what the future looked like, we just kept going. We're coming out the other side, and we're gonna be okay. And a lot of that came from, if I hadn't done CEO back in January, I probably would have be looking for a job right now. So
yeah. And instead you are in the industry strong, which I love.
Yeah.
Kudos to you. I mean, this is what I love about what I do every day, is just helping people on that journey and showing them it's possible. But I want to, in terms of components, I know there's great things in the program, like our $1 million marketing and marketing for agencies and some of those things, but I want to talk a second about the Done For You training program. So this is something really unique in the industry, because no one else is doing anything where they show you how to set up an actual agency, number one, where you host your own agents. But number two, when we really built this program, we thought, what's something that everybody tells us is the hardest thing, and how can we make it easy for them? And everyone said, not only do I not have time to train, I don't have hours to build out a training program for all of my new hires. So for those of you who are new to Wanderlust CEO, we built a Done For You training program that if people are in our Wanderlust CEO, they're new hires, we basically train their new hires. They go through an online program, they get access to my trainers. And so that frees up the CEO from doing hours and hours and hours of training. But I don't want to talk about it. I want Tammi to talk about it. Like, how did you plug that piece in for your agency?
So it has been amazing. I am surprised at how few questions I get after they go through the training. So I thought the training would just be, okay, they're gonna go through a couple of modules, but they're still gonna have a ton of questions about, how do I book travel? How do I research travel? They're sending me proposals and saying, hey, could you look over this proposal and let me know what you think, if you think it's good. They're not asking me where to go look for stuff. They're not asking me, where to find vendors. They know how to use Vax. They know how to book Disney. I had a girl book her first Disney last week, and she didn't even call me. It just went into test.
Right? I love it. And you're like watching those commissions go into your system every day.
Yeah. So I can't even quantify how much time it saved to me, because I never had to train them and then have a system come in and take over. So I can't quantify it. I can tell you that I expected to have follow-up calls and that my one-on-ones would be really in-depth questions about owning and running a travel business, and it's not. Our one-on-ones, a lot of it, we talk about goal setting and things like that, but a lot of it's just giving them pep talks and saying you're doing great and I love that you did this, and this post that you did on Facebook was amazing. Maybe you should run an ad to that. It's nothing like what I
You get,
imagined it would be.
and that's like we wanted the CEOs to focus on performance management, having those one-on-ones, driving them towards their goals, helping them make those sales. And I can quantify how long it takes for the training program, because it's
Yeah,
kind of
I don't have anything because I wasn't doing it before. So
yeah, it took that's what we do every day. We build content and curriculum to support travel professionals. It took us over a year to develop that program, because we said it's not a program to necessarily start their own travel business. This is designed for what training do people need when they're working successfully under a
yeah, I mean, basically, I give them their log on.
alleviate time, all of
We froze.
one sec, we're frozen.
Yeah, I don't know if it's me or you. All right, I still have internet, so.
Hey, I lost you for a second. Did I fall off, or did you fall off?
I looked and I still had internet, so I'm not sure.
Oh, no worries. So we're still recording, so it's good.
Okay.
So we'll edit that out, but no worries. So
Okay, so
we were talking about building out the training program. So I was saying we can quantify how long it takes to build that training program. It took us over a year to develop it, because we really thought about, from the CEO's perspective, how do I get more time back in my day? What can I do to alleviate stress and chaos as you have new hires? So building out that huge program that teaches them not how to launch their own travel business, but how to become a travel agent and work successfully in this hosting environment. So how do I book cruises? How do I book Disney? How do I book all the things? But more than that, how do I leverage my host brand? How do I market myself? All of those icy things that they need to know. And they get that curriculum, plus they get to go online live with our trainers, so the CEOs don't have to do it, and ask those questions to help alleviate some of that.
and honestly, it's basically I give them their log on to TPTK.
TPK, the Travel Professional Training Kit.
Yes.
For those,
so I give them their log on to that, and then when they're finished, I say, "Let me know when you're finished. Let me know if you have any questions as you're going through the program." After they get logged in, I haven't had one agent out of 9 who went through the course so far. No one has come back to me and said they didn't understand something that was going on in the kit.
I love
and then
it.
after that, I give them their logons to their vendors, and they're off and running. I mean, they have not been high maintenance, for lack of a better word. I don't really like using that word, but I expected to have to do a lot more hand holding, and I have.
Yeah. And we talk a lot on the CEO side, like what that first 60, 90 days, how to best support. So it's not like you're not supporting them. You're supporting them in other ways. Like, here's how we work at our agency. We even give you a PowerPoint to onboard your staff. So you're doing all of those things, but taking away the stress of like, I have to spend 40 hours to train one person, or look at all of their first 10 trips, or all the chaos that can ensue, which you mentioned earlier, you kind of hinted at, like, it's okay to have attrition. We call in your hiring process, we call that having a hiring pipeline. So when you're essentially outsourcing a portion of your training, but still plugging into your ICs, which is really what you're doing, you have the ability to train a class of 5 or 10, or it doesn't matter how many, because our staff is doing that and not having that burden. So for those watching, we really do train you on more of a pipeline approach. For if you want to grow your team to 20, 30, or whatever you want to grow it to, you can do that without stress and burden, to Tammy's point, because some of these other things are already done. That makes sense. But
I mean, I've scaled back on my hiring mostly because the fall or the winter was not good the last quarter of the year, just for personal reasons. So I'd scaled back for that. But then through conversations, so it's not even just about that. You and I had some additional conversations, and I have kind of pivoted in my niche a little bit.
Yeah, you're doing
And
like a whole new big project. I love that.
yeah. And so the type of person I want to bring on board has to match that. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of putting that into place. But I've still had the support of my, CEO family. I mean, you can't even that's another thing that you can't even put a price tag on, Cyndi,
Yeah.
is the relationships that
Mm,
have developed because of the program.
yeah.
I mean,
We have such
I
an
have
amazing group.
got some really close friends in the industry that we've gotten so close just because of going through the CEO process together.
Yeah, and
Um,
you're surrounded with like-minded people that are doing big things, and then you see the person sitting next to you did this huge thing and you're like, I can do this too. So, and I
yeah,
love what you brought up about, because when it was kind of wintertime, we had some conversations around you pivoting because there was something you were feeling inspired to do. That's with having a year-long support. Yes, you got all the normal stuff through WLCEO of growing your team, but you're like, hey, I have this big idea. You have someone you can reach out to and go, how do I do this? Right? We have other people working on all kinds of side projects that they get that expert level coaching with. I mean, Margie's working on something different. Jamie's blowing up her YouTube. You're
yes,
doing
he
all of
is.
the stuff out there. Our friend Steph P, like to call her Pickles, over in Dallas. She's got all kinds of cool stuff coming on. So we have so many that have, because it's kind of an automated process, the team's up and running. Now they're like, wow, I'm a CEO. I can think, I have the headspace to not just have my agency kind of running and operating, but like, what other dreams do I have? So those have actually been a totally unexpected thing from my perspective, but I love to help you guys with, because
Yeah,
they're fun, they're creative, they're innovative, and it's literally changing the industry and how we move forward. There's some
and
powerful
you're
things.
collaborating with like-minded people, and I mean, everyone in there just shares their thoughts and their opinions. And yeah, I think that'll work. No, I think that won't. Why don't you try tweaking this? And so for me too, that was an unexpected benefit
Yeah,
of doing the CEO program, was that camaraderie that has grown out of it.
I love it.
And that you can't put a value on that either.
No, for sure. And I mean, and then we get to go have a party in Jamaica, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah, and I mean,
So there is that. We're all going to
right?
meet up and celebrate.
And some of us even talked about doing fam trips together and helping each other do our videos. And unfortunately, that didn't get to happen this year, but I have no doubt that that will occur.
Absolutely, 100%. So, Tammi, I have one last question for you. For that person who's out there, maybe they're a great travel agent already. Maybe they've been thinking about starting to scale a team and they're like, I'm just maybe going to figure it out, or what should I do, or how would I even do this? What would you say to that person who's considering Wanderlust CEO, but they're kind of on the fence about it?
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
I feel like you're quoting me now, but yes, I would. And why should they do that though? Like, what's going to be? Why can't they just go do it on their own? Versus,
you won't recognize your business or yourself a year from now.
I
And
love that.
and the level of support to help you go through that change, you are going to change. It's going to be a metamorphosis. I couldn't have put that into words a year ago. Um, and looking back a year ago at where I am today,
Yeah, it's
I couldn't
phenomenal.
have done it by myself. So
Oh
you
my
just need
gosh.
to feel the fear and do it anyway. Um, it's worth investing in yourself. It's worth investing in your future. Your business is worth it. You're worth it.
I
So
love it.
feel the fear, feel the knot in your stomach,
That's
do it
so good.
anyway.
Yeah, when you're doing big stuff, but here's the beauty of that. You feel the fear and do it anyway. The minute you do and you get in the group, like I think about Lori, who just joined us a few weeks ago, and she was like kind of that, like, oh, I don't know. And her husband was like, you need to do this. And the minute, like within 24 hours, she read like through our feed. Remember, she read through the feed and she posted, you guys have had amazing conversations in
Yeah.
here. And she's
Yeah.
like, this is the smartest thing I've ever done. But I remember the day you signed up, I remember you came to me and we were in Florida and you were like, do you think I can do this? I remember that. I remember we had that conversation and I was like, you have so much talent. You have so much skill. Yes, it's not in the travel industry, but like, look at what we can translate. And I made that commitment to you. So I just want to say I'm honored that you trusted us to help you with your business over the past year. I'm so proud and in admiration of how far you have come in the past year. And this is really just the beginning for you. Like, you have this other side project, which is top secret and is going to just change the world. I'm so excited about it. But lady, I'm so happy for you. And of course, you know, we're here for you and we'll be celebrating in Jamaica. So it's not like you're going far.
I am not. You're stuck
I love it.
with me.
Well, and guys, if you're watching this and
You're
you're
stuck
out
with me.
there,
If I have to start all the programs all over again, you're stuck.
oh my gosh, I love it. Well, that's the thing. You never lose access. You have lifetime access to all of your content, which even while you were in this program, you know, we're like, oh, we have an update here. We built something new. Something new is in bonus. We're always keeping the content like up to date and making sure we push out those updates. So yeah, but guys, if you're out there and you're thinking, I've always wanted to do a team, or maybe you started your team and it's all a mess. That's how we get that too. Like, I hired my first 10 people and like, I don't know what I'm doing. My contracts are weird. I don't know how to fire this part. Like, there's a million problems that come up when you have your own agency, because it's way more complicated a lot of times than you anticipate. But if that's you out there sitting on the fence, I really want to encourage you to just visit us at the link below and have a conversation with one of my coaches to talk about what your goals are. And if we can help you and it's a match, we'll talk to you about the next enrollment period. Wanderlust CEO is not like our other program where you can just apply, and if there's space, you can kind of get in. We only enroll certain times of the year because, as Tammi can attest to, we keep this group at a really finite size, because you really do get personal access to me. You get a private coach, you get an CEO level service in this program. But if you're thinking about it and want to get it kind of fleshed out, if it would be a match for you, we'd love to talk to you. So Tammi, thank you again. And
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Yeah. All right. I love you so much. We'll see you soon. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Hey guys, Cyndi Williams here. If you like that last video, make sure you check out my other content to help you grow and scale your very own travel business. And also, I invite you to travel around the world with me and find out what I'm doing in my portable, profitable, award-winning travel business. Check out the videos.